We all know about the massive genome tucked away in our cell's nucleus, right? The 3 billion letters of code that make you, well, you. But what if I told you that wasn't the whole story? What if I told you there's a second genome, a tiny, ancient, and kind of mysterious one, hiding in plain sight inside every one of your cells? Today, we are diving deep into the cell's other genome.
It's a great question, isn't it? Because this second set of instructions isn't hanging out in the nucleus with all the famous DNA. Nope, it's hidden away inside the thousands of tiny power plants that are firing up your cells as we speak.
So, here's our game plan. First, we'll figure out what this other genome actually is. Then, we'll get into its really unique inheritance, a true mother's legacy. After that, we'll explore why it's so important for our health and for tracing our deep human past. And finally, we'll check out the incredible tech scientists are using to unlock its secrets.
All right, let's get right to it. Section 1, the cell's other genome. So what exactly is this stuff and where is it hiding?
It's called mitochondrial DNA, or mtDNA for short. Okay, so think of your mitochondria like little power plants inside your cells, right? They generate all the energy. Well, mtDNA is their own personal blueprint, their own tiny exclusive operating manual that's completely separate from the main genetic library in the nucleus. And when you put mtDNA side by side with our regular nuclear DNA, the differences are just huge. Nuclear DNA is enormous. It's organized in those familiar linear chromosomes, and you get it from both parents. But mtDNA, it is tiny. It's shaped like a little circle, and here's the really wild part, you inherit it only from your mother. Now, don't let its size fool you. This little loop of DNA might only be about 16,500 letters long, but it packs a serious punch. It contains 37 genes that are absolutely essential. Without them, our cellular power plants would just shut down. Game over.
And that brings us to what is, for me, the most fascinating part of this whole story, the way mtDNA gets passed down. It's a direct genetic line, an unbroken chain from mother to child through the generations.
So yeah, this quote sounds a little academic, but what it's saying is really profound. It's a one-way street. The genetic material flows in one direction only, from mothers to their offspring. But how does that actually happen?
You know, it's actually a pretty clean and simple process. At fertilization, the sperm delivers its nuclear DNA, but its mitochondria, well, they pretty much get left at the door. They're actively targeted and eliminated, which means only the mitochondria that were already in the egg, the mother's mitochondria, are the ones that get passed on.
Okay, so it's this unique little genome that we only get from our moms. That's cool, but so what? Why does this tiny circle of DNA actually matter so much? Well, it turns out it has massive implications for our health, for forensics, and even for understanding where we all came from.
Fundamentally, it all comes down to energy. Those 37 genes are basically mission control for the whole energy production process in our cells. In fact, more than 90% of the energy your body is using right now just to process what I'm saying is being generated thanks to instructions from your mtDNA.
So as you can imagine, when something goes wrong with those instructions, the results can be really severe. Because mitochondria power literally everything, mutations in mtDNA can lead to some really debilitating disorders. And they often hit the parts of our body that need the most energy, like our brains, our muscles, and our hearts.
But here's the flip side. That same unique inheritance pattern makes mtDNA an incredibly powerful tool. Since it's passed down directly from mother to child without getting mixed up, scientists can use it to trace a maternal line back for thousands of years. It helps us map ancient human migrations. And for forensics, it can be a lifesaver, allowing investigators to get a DNA ID from tiny or degraded samples, like a single hair, when nuclear DNA is long gone.
So we know what it is, we know why it's a big deal, but how in the world do scientists actually read the story that's written in our mitochondrial DNA? This is where some seriously cool technology comes into play.
The key is a process called DNA sequencing. It's basically the technology that lets us read the exact order of all the genetic letters, the A's, C's, G's, and T's that make up that mtDNA circle. This allows scientists to pinpoint mutations or trace those ancestral lines we were just talking about. And the platforms we have today are just amazing. You've got technologies like Illumina, which gives you millions of super accurate short reads of the DNA. And then you have something like PacBio, which uses long-read technology to sequence the entire 16,500-letter loop, often in a single unbroken piece. It gives you a really complete picture.
What's really cool is that this incredible tech isn't just locked away in a few ivory towers anymore. So let's take a look at how researchers today can actually access these tools to make groundbreaking discoveries. I mean, if you're a scientist studying a rare mitochondrial disease or trying to map human history, you need this data, and you need it to be perfect. That's where specialized services are a total game changer. A company like CD Genomics, for instance, provides the whole package, the platforms and the expertise, so researchers can focus on answering the big questions.
And using a professional service gives you a massive leg up. You don't just get a giant file of raw data. You get a full analysis that can spot even really rare mutations. This is absolutely critical for detecting something called heteroplasmy. That's a tricky situation where a person has a mix of normal and mutated mtDNA in their cells, which can be a key piece of the puzzle for disease research. This just gives you a little peek under the hood at the level of precision we're talking about. You can see the exact sample requirements and how the technical setup changes depending on whether you're using Illumina or PacBio. Every single detail is fine-tuned to get the most accurate and complete picture of that mitochondrial genome possible. So, at the end of the day, what does a researcher walk away with? It's a whole lot more than just data. They get the raw sequence, sure, but also a full report on the experiment, a deep data analysis, and even customized details they can plug right into their next big publication. It's the whole discovery package.
Which leaves us with this incredible thought. We now have the ability to read this intimate genetic story that's been passed down unbroken from mother to child for countless generations. It's a story about our energy, our health, and our deepest human origins. The only question left is, what new chapters will we write next?